Let's return to our breaking news now, where China has announced 84% tariffs on American goods coming into China. Our East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood joins us now for more on this story. Kathleen, hello there. Now, what is the latest you've heard of these tariffs that have been announced by China?
Well, Garish, we've been waiting to see if there would be any more action by Beijing all day, really. Of course, the American tariffs came into effect today. In total, 84% on Chinese goods, which brings the entire amount of tariffs that Donald Trump has brought in since his inauguration up to 104% on Chinese goods. So Beijing certainly signalling yesterday and again today that they would be standing strong. Mr. Trump had added this extra 50% in retaliation to Beijing's announcement on the weekend that it would be adding 34% tariffs of its own onto American goods coming into China starting tomorrow. He added this 50%, said that if China didn't reverse that decision, he would be going ahead with what ended up being 84% in total. Now we've just had this breaking news from delivered through Chinese state media that China will again be matching that figure that the US has put on its goods. So now 84% tariffs on American goods going into China starting tomorrow.
Kathleen, no one seems to have seen this coming, at least as of yesterday and earlier today. So how much of a surprise was this for everyone?
Look, I think it is something of a surprise, but certainly Beijing did seem to have started to make this sort of turn towards putting a really strong posture towards the American approach as of the weekend. We had seen some measured responses in regards to to Donald Trump's earlier tariff announcement. So the original 2 rounds of 10% tariffs a few weeks ago. We'd seen, some specific targeted tariffs and measures against certain American products, agricultural products, things like that, really, which seemed quite political, quite calculated, really trying to get to Donald Trump and the Republican Party's rural base. But now it does seem like Beijing has just decided that they're going to meet Donald Trump's strong posture with its own. It does, I think people will be a little bit surprised that it has once again upped the ante after Donald Trump reacted so angrily. There were reports that members of the top Chinese leadership might meet today to discuss their response to Donald Trump's and his administration's behaviour. So perhaps this is an outcome of that. But, perhaps they were also buoyed somehow, despite all the turmoil on the stock markets. The Shanghai index and the Hang Seng index in Hong Kong managed to finish just a little bit up at the end of the day. So perhaps they were buoyed by the strength of the Chinese markets, even after a tumultuous few days, compared to some of the Asian markets and even the Australian market.
Okay, East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood, thank you very much for that update.
What is up, everybody? We are back in the building. I got my tea. I still heat my water up old school on the stove. So if I got to walk away for a second, if I got to move for a second to go get my water and pour it in the cup to make my tea, please forgive me. I'm giving you that warning early. It is morning. It is good to be here with all of you. I know we usually do our thing in the evening, but I'm thinking about moving it to the morning. Thinking about challenging Anton Daniels for that #1 spot. You feel me? Just a joke. Shout out to my bro Anton. Love what he's doing over there. Today we're gonna talk about tariffs, specifically this trade war that specifically this trade war that Donald Trump has started. This is in fact a trade war now. All that other crap years back that they were calling trade wars, those weren't trade wars. This is a trade war. Donald Trump has imposed tariffs on China up to 104%. And China has now struck back by putting an 84% tariff on all U.S. goods imported to China by China, or like exported from America into China. So I'm black. We all black. I don't think our folks generally are super knowledgeable about like trade, uh, tariffs, and all this stuff. So what I will do is I will give you a like rough explanation of what the tariff situation, what tariffs are, you know, what tariffs are, and then I will give you my personal experience with tariffs and why I think that what Donald Trump is doing is absolutely awesome. Okay. So, first and foremost, what are tariffs? Tariffs are a tax that is added to products that are imported by to any particular country, right? So say we're in America, we send anything you could think of. Let's say we make a bunch of let's say we grow a bunch of onions in America, right? Okay. America wants to ship onions to China, which that's actually reversed. So let's say we want to ship onions to France, right? Okay. In France, there are people who are already growing onions. So the growers of onions in France say, hey, you're bringing onions into the country from another country. We're growing onions here. They may be able to grow those onions cheaper in America than it costs us to grow them here. So their onions have an unfair advantage over us in the market. They can sell their onions for 50 cents a pound. We're forced to sell our onions for $1 a pound. They will sell all their onions. We won't sell any onions, and we will go out of business, and you will kill onion production in France. So what the country does is they'll put a tax on the onions. They'll say, look, we're going to put a 10% or 15% tax on all onion imports from the United States into France. That will make it a more competitive market for the onion growers that are already in France. Or it'll make it to where only the people with money can afford to buy the onions from America, a specific type of onion, and the people who don't have money, they're relegated to buy from the domestic onion grower. Now, I hope that explains it. I'm going to tell you my first experience with tariffs. And my first experience with tariffs where they actually affected me was in Africa, in Kenya. No surprise there, right? So, you know how we do, black folks. We love using that Johnson and Johnson. We grown folks, we still out here using baby lotion. We out here still using baby oil, right? Diddy, right? I was having a Diddy moment, I guess. Pause. So I lotion up with baby lotion. Or I'll use something like this, Jergens. If I can't find baby lotion, I'll use Jergens, right? Okay. So I'm in Kenya and I'm ashy. And I didn't want to be like the locals and walk around with ashy ankles and elbows, right? Shout out to my ashy elbows. Hey, they are ashy. Okay. So I went to the store to buy lotion. Now, when you go to Africa, they have this on the shelf. Oh, shit. When you go to Africa, they have this product right here on the shelf, Jergens, hydrating coconut. They have American brands on their shelf for sale in their grocery store. Here's where tariffs come into play. If the brand is made outside of Kenya, let's say Jergens is produced in America, right? Let's hope it is. This in the store in America will cost about $5 to $6, right? I'm being generous, right? This will cost about $5 to $6. If you go buy this in Kenya, this bottle of lotion will cost you $20. Why? Because there's a tariff added, a tax added to anything that is not made in Kenya. Now, so when you look at this on the shelf, you'll be like, yo, that's my joint. That's the Jergens. I'm going to buy that. Then you'll look at that price like, woo, $20 for some Jergens? I'm not paying $20 for Jergens. So then what do? You look at what's sitting next to the Jergens. And lo and behold, there is a Kenyan brand of lotion with the same coconut flavor that is for sale, and it's the same size, and it only costs like $2 or $3. Why? Because there is a tax levied against imported products so that people buying things in that country are incentivized to buy the things that are made in that country, right? We're basically going to make their crap higher than our stuff so that when you go to the store to buy, you'll buy homemade products versus buying foreign imports. And why would a country want to do that? Because if you buy Kenyan-made products, that creates jobs where? In Kenya. That encourages companies, even like the company that makes Jergens, which I think might be, it says CalCorp. It will even encourage this company to move their production to Kenya. They won't move it all, but they will start producing lotion in that country. Because they'll say, look, man, if we produce the lotion inside of Kenya, we get to sell the lotion for a lower price. We don't have to worry about those tariffs. And that allows us to compete with Kenyan lotion manufacturers. What does that do for the country? That creates more jobs for the people of Kenya. So tariffs have a direct impact on job creation in any country. And that is why you see countries like Kenya, Rwanda, China, those countries, their economies are growing rapidly. And one of the reasons why their economies are growing rapidly is because they impose tariffs on imported goods, which incentivizes companies to start producing things in that country so they will have access to that country's market and be able to compete with their local brands. Same thing with beer. If you go to Kenya, you're not going to find Bud Light because Bud Light does not want to pay tariffs, or they don't want to import. They might have Bud Light somewhere. Let me not say that. But I promise you, if you buy a Bud Light, it's going to be way more expensive than the Kenyan-made brand of Tuskers or White Cap or any of the Kenyan beers, right? Because why? They impose tariffs on everything that is not made in Kenya. And that creates jobs and incentivizes countries to bring their manufacturing into those countries. This is basically what China did to the rest of the world. China forever has imposed tariffs on the United States and any other country that wants to do business in China, right? Right now, China, well, until recently, up until Trump, China was able to import their crap into the United States for almost nothing. They didn't have any tariffs on the electronics, the TVs, and all that different stuff that they imported into America, that they exported to America. And American companies complained. They said, hey, man, We can't start a flat screen TV company. We can't start a solar panel making company because we can't compete with China. They're allowed to bring their garbage into our country for free and sell it for pennies on the dollar because they pay their workers nothing. How can a company that has to pay its workers $20 an hour compete with a company that only has to pay its workers $1 a day? It's absolutely impossible. You cannot compete paying your workers a fair livable wage with a company that has no rules as to what the minimum pay is allowed for them to pay their workers, right? And American companies notice that for decades they've been going at our government, calling out our government for allowing China to bring their products into America, knowing that they're basically using slave labor, and the government did nothing. But now Donald Trump, as he promised Americans, he is bringing production back to America because in order for your companies to compete with Chinese companies, your companies had to take their production to China so they could produce products for the same cost as Chinese companies or South Korean companies that were able to pay workers pennies on the dollar and then bring their products over to America and sell them at a lower price. So now what Trump is doing, he's doing what all these other countries have done to America for decades. He is imposing a tariff or a tax on all the products that these other countries are exporting to America so that our companies can be competitive again in the area of production. What you have to understand as an American is this is the largest consumer market on earth. Though China may have more people, though Africa may have more people, we destroy everyone when it comes to the amount of products we consume. Why would you allow a country that doesn't want to pay their fair share of tariffs for the products that they export into your country? Why would you allow that country to have access to your markets? It doesn't make sense. PP Bob, I am focusing on productivity. American productivity is destroyed if our companies have to compete with people who can pay their employees nothing. Guys, do you remember when there used to be call centers in America? Do you remember when you used to be able to go make 15, 16 bucks an hour just on the phone working for AT&T, Verizon, Spectrum, and you could feed your family and make $40,000, $50,000 a year just doing customer service? Do you notice those jobs are gone? Those jobs went over to India. Those jobs went over to other third world countries where they speak English because why? They can pay those people less, which increases their bottom line. Do you think it's fair? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair that an American company can take an American job out of America, go give it to an Indian person, yet the number one consumer of their phone service is Americans. If you are the number one consumer of the product, you should be the number one recipient of the jobs that the consumption of the product creates. How do you get ahead if you buy something? Hold on one second. I'm going to correlate this. I'm going to connect this to something that I think African American people can understand a little better, right? Do you remember when we used to talk about keeping the black dollar in the black community? Do you guys remember we would talk about that all the time? How the black community, if the community wants to be strong and grow, we got to keep the black dollar in the black community. Y'all remember we used to say that, right? Okay. We understood that if we take our money and give our money to people who do not live in our community, right? They just sell things there. We understood that weakens our community. That decreases home ownership in the community. That affects the schools in the community. And that overall handicaps and weakens the community to the point where the people within the community can no longer afford to live in the community. And then those people are pushed out by gentrification, and the people with more money move in and they take over the community. It basically kills the community. We give our money to Chinese people, Asians who own donut shops and nail salons. We give our money and food places and all this stuff, and they take our money and they go back to where they live in Woodland Hills or Beverly Hills or Alhambra or wherever they live, and your dollar never circulates in your community, which keeps your community poor and looking a mess. That is the same exact thing that the United States is doing under Trump. Trump is keeping American dollars inside of America because the law of economics remains the same. The more your dollar circulates within your own community or country, the stronger your dollar is, the stronger your currency becomes. We have a lot of American dollars that are leaving America immediately. You buy a flat screen TV from Samsung. Your money immediately went straight to Korea. As a matter of fact, Americans have been put in a position where we have to be like a middleman now, like a third party between the producers or the product makers in China and Korea and the American consumer. If you open Best Buy, you're getting products from China and then selling it to Americans. But the minute China discovered, we could sell more flat screen TVs on Amazon than we could sell at Best Buy, now you see Best Buy's closing all over the place because there's no more need for a middleman. We're sending stuff direct, right? So when you talk about a tariff, that is keeping your money in your own country. Clever ways to keep American dollars in America in the hands and pockets of Americans. If you can understand why the black dollar needs to circulate in the black community, then you can understand why the American dollar needs to circulate or remain in America. So if you hate the tariffs that Trump is imposing, then you're an absolute hypocrite about saying you want the black community to thrive. Because those tariffs that Trump is imposing, those tariffs will directly lead to the creation of jobs, well-paying jobs that black Americans have an opportunity to acquire and work and feed their family. So I don't see why anyone at all would be opposed to tariffs. I don't see why anyone at all would be opposed to Donald Trump imposing these tariffs on China. Now, the next point I want to make, as I put the link to come up and join me in this conversation, because I don't know everything about tariffs. So if you know more than me, come help me explain it. but I will listen to what you're saying. And if I don't think what you're saying is true, I will challenge you on it. Just know that. The next thing is this. China has always had tariffs on America. They charge us a tax to bring our products into their country. They charge us to give us access to their consumer market, right? For many, many decades, we were giving them access to our consumer market for free, right? We were giving them access to our consumer market for absolutely free. So not only were they taking our jobs, but then they were able to take the products that they took our jobs making and then bring those products back into America for nothing. If I've ever seen a losing situation for America, that was a losing situation for America. Letting somebody take your jobs to another country, produce products with American dollars, and then bring those products back into America and not charge a tariff and let them sell that to America. China would never let you do that. India would never let you do that. France would never let you do that. Canada would never let you do that. Well, you gonna take our jobs, make the products, and then not pay us nothing? That's like a plug giving you dope and not charging you. Yeah, we just gonna give you the product, you go sell it and keep all the money. Hell no. The plug is gonna charge you. You gotta pay the plug for the product, for access to the product. And then you go sell the product and Alexa's talking. And then you make your money, right? You pay for access. I always bring up the example of like a farmer's market. Have any of you ever sold anything in a farmer's market? You know, when you sell in a farmer's market, you don't just wake up, go down to the farmer's market, set up your table and set up your tent and start selling stuff. You have to pay for access to that market. People are coming to that parking lot or park. They're coming there because the farmer's market is bringing them to that location. And if you want access to sell to the people that they are bringing to that location, you have to pay them something, an entry fee. Sometimes it's $50, sometimes it's $100. Some I've heard are $200 because we are giving you access to our market. Understand that. That is the same thing that America is now doing, that we haven't been doing, that we should have been doing. We were giving people access to our market for free, allowing them to compete with our citizens. And over the past 50 years, our citizens have gotten to a point where we can't even make a livable wage anymore because all the jobs that were paying a livable wage, they're gone. They left. Somebody brought up Gary, Indiana, Michael Jackson's hometown, right? Right here. Gary, Indiana, the Rust Belt, Michael Jackson's home. It totally collapsed. Let me read that. The Rust Belt, Michael Jackson's home, Gary, Indiana, totally collapsed. If you go to Gary, Indiana, it looks like a bomb hit it. That city or town was sustained by the steel mill that used to operate there about 50 years ago or more. When we moved all of our steel manufacturing to China and other countries, the American workers who were there making a good wage, people like Michael Jackson's father, they were put out of a job. They had to leave that city to go find work. somewhere else. And that town died. If you go there right now, there are schools. There's like a high school right behind Michael Jackson's old house. I've been to Michael Jackson's old house. 2300 Jackson Street, baby. That school is abandoned. That town is abandoned. There's literally nothing there, right? That's a direct consequence of us allowing corporations to not only take the jobs overseas, but then turning around and allowing the corporations to bring the products back without paying any tax on what they're bringing in. We let them take our dollars out of the country and just didn't charge them nothing to bring it back in. If you would have charged those corporations a tax, if you would have told United Steel, hey, you guys have to pay a 40% tariff on any steel that y'all bring that's made outside of the country and brought back into the United States. You know what they would have did? They would have did their calculations and they would have said it would cost us more to pay the taxes bringing this stuff back in than it would for us to just keep these dudes working and keep producing the steel here. But we didn't do that. People got paid off. The same politicians y'all sitting up here praising and defending and telling us we should have voted for instead of Trump, those politicians allowed the flight of U.S. industry. Why? Because they were getting paid off. They put their own pockets over the pockets of everybody, every man, woman, and child in America. They said, me getting this $1 million from United Steel and allowing them to sin against the American people by taking their jobs overseas, then bringing the products made back into the country for free and selling it to them. That's more important than having a healthy manufacturing industry in the United States of America. Guys, it's to the point where we can't even make weapons or military vehicles inside the United States anymore. Like, we have to go to another country to get the material to make weapons for our military. Ain't that crazy? And what makes it worse is we have every single thing we need to do that right here. We have every single thing we need to do that right here. But we have this ignorant mindset that, hey, PP Bob, just come up. If you don't agree with me, come up. Because everybody, instead of this, instead of that, bro, it's so funny. Here we go. In 1890, more than 90% Black illiterate. Most U.S. economic development happened in 20th century as education became democratized with the expansion of public schools. Instead of improving the quality of public schools in the U.S. went to North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, building more than 700 bases worldwide. I don't know what you're talking about. See, PP Bob, the things you say are inherently untrue. They built this, built that. Do you know how many billions the United States spends a year on education? Let me give it to you. Pause. The education budget for the United States of America is $11.835 billion, right? And that's an increase of $982 million in core funding. Dude, we're spending $11 billion a year on education. What are you talking about? Oh, instead of improving the education system, they went to make bases all over the world. How your kids gonna learn when they getting blown up? How are your kids gonna learn when we can't even export nothing safely because pirates is robbing the ships? You guys makes the dumbest like correlations between stuff. Oh, instead of improving education, bro, what is the point of education improving when you can't get a job? Because all your stuff is going to all your jobs are going to another country. So what? So we spend $1.4 trillion on military, but spend $11 billion on education. There's only 400 million people in America. Listen, we spend more on education than any country in the world. Let's just put it there. We spend more on education than any other country on earth. It has nothing to do with education. It has everything to do with politicians selling out the American people for their own personal gain. And what we do, like what PB Bob is doing, it's a coping mechanism. I don't like Trump. I don't want to agree with nothing Trump is doing, so I got to move the goalpost. Trump is getting rid of the Department of Education, so the money that's being spent on education can actually make it to the kids, but you hate him. Then you bring up education. Now he's fixing that. Now he's fixing our economy to where America could start producing and start employing its citizens again, giving our citizens good jobs, like the ones your grandparents had that you complain. Oh man, my grandparents think it's easy. They had good jobs. Yeah, there could still be great jobs in America if you stop letting your politicians, primarily Democrats, but Republicans too, send your jobs overseas in an effort to protect special interests. One of the presidents who sent the most jobs overseas was Obama. But we're not going to talk about that. No, we're spending this much money on this. Bro, Trump is cutting the waste. He's going to audit the military. So I don't understand how Donald Trump is addressing every complaint you have, but you're still trying to find something else to bring up. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why with people in the comments, guys, people in the comments can write anything. But coming up here and articulating their views is a whole nother thing. Anybody could try to poke holes at something. But guess what? What Trump's doing is very hard to poke holes at it because he's doing exactly what the people asked him to do. So if you're disagreeing with what he's doing, you're disagreeing with the American people at the end of the day. So China is now trying to hit back at the United States, right? Because Trump is imposing a tax on them. And he's saying, yo, look, you're no longer going to just be able to bring your crap in here for free, right? When Donald Trump left office his first term, he had imposed 19% tariffs on China, right? Which was unheard of. China was pissed off. All the China sympathizers who they only sympathize with China because they hate Trump. They don't really understand like what's going on. We just know if Trump is doing it, it must be bad, right? They were pissed off with Trump. China was pissed off with Trump. Joe Biden came into office. Shout out to Joe Biden. And what did Biden do? Did he erase all the tariffs that Trump imposed on China? No. He increased the tariffs against China. So Biden's came in and said, yo, I agree with what Donald Trump was doing, imposing tariffs on China, not allowing them to retain or keep their unfair advantage over the American corporation and over the American worker. So I'll give Biden credit for that. He kept those tariffs on China's ass, and he increased those tariffs, not as much as I think he should have, but he increased them significantly. And guess what? It helped. I see you in the back, Angela. I'm bringing you in a second. So should you be angry or upset or scared about the tariffs that Trump has imposed on China? I don't think so. We are in a trade war. Yes, we are. Does China have a snowball's chance in hell of winning it? No, they don't. And I'll tell you exactly why they don't. If you look at the imports that China, that America, the things that America imports from China, we import about $600 billion worth of products from China every year, right? So we buy their crap. And it ain't really, it's not stuff that we can't produce ourselves, right? What we're importing from China is just junk. We're importing clothes, plastic, and rubbers, like rubber bands and silly shit, bottles and stuff like that. We can make that here. Clothes, we can easily make that here. Metals, we can make those things here. We still have something of a steel industry left here, and it can be expanded. The biggest thing we import from China is electronics, machinery and electronics. So when I say machinery and electronics, basically this is things like printers, countertop juicers, cat litter boxes, Roomba vacuum cleaners, things like that. The brand KitchenAid, the one who sell all the stuff in Target, they were one of the largest importers of Chinese made products in the past 5 years, right? It's owned by Whirlpool. They make all the washing machines and all that. And it basically gets its products from China, right? So electronic products make up over 35% of what we import from China. Machinery, you're going to get car parts, things like that. Same type of stuff, toasters, stuff like that. That's going to come from China. We can make all that stuff. All that stuff used to be made in America, and then we allowed the corporations to outsource it to China. Right. Cheaply produced products. Exactly. I'll pay $5 more for a toaster or a juicer if that creates an American job. A well-paying American job. If my nephews can go work at Whirlpool and assemble countertop juicers, and that makes countertop juicers go up $10, I'll pay that. Because the money is going back into the pockets of another American, not to some Chinese person. Right? PP Bob says, Brandon, I'm sure you have a conversation with your daughter on her going to UCLA or USC, not on making toasters and juicers. See, that's the thing. And PP Bob, that's the problem with people like you. You only see one demographic of America. There's millions of Americans who can't go to UCLA or USC. There's millions of Americans who don't have a 4.0 GPA. My nephew my cousin, he doesn't have a 4.0 GPA. He's looking at taking up a trade. Did you know that repairing appliances used to be a trade? And it still is. Assembling products, appliances, used to be a big industry in America that fed families and sent kids to college. Why wouldn't we want to bring that back? My daughter might go to UCLA or USC, but what if the man she falls in love with and decides to marry is not a person who is a college educated person? Nah, that's not true. That's a lie. My daughter does not go to private school. You sound dumb. My daughter and my cousin are in the same school district. They live in the same house, fool. My daughter has a 4.0 because she works harder at school than he does. He's not a guy who's super hype on school. He's like, look, I'm here. I'm doing my work. I'm fine with getting a C. I'm fine with getting a B. My daughter is like checking her GPA, taking AP classes to protect their GPA and stuff like that. They're just different. Some people love school, some people don't care. No, okay, so they don't attend the same school, but the schools that they attend are sister schools. So they have the same programs. As a matter of fact, when they had their winter formal this year, they combined the winter formal. Those two schools combined their winter formal. So I was able to take both of them to the same place for the winter formal. And I will tell you this, his school is ranked higher than her school. His school produced like 3 or 4 kids who went to Berkeley. My daughter's school didn't produce anybody who went to a high-level school like Berkeley. But my daughter is actually about to switch schools and go back to her original school, and that's about sports. That has nothing to do with education. So I got you, Robert, and I'm bringing y'all in right now. So I'm saying all that to say this: the products. Okay, so then the next thing they produce is miscellaneous products, junk stuff, little cheap watches and little trinkets, stuff you buy from the 99-cent store, Hello Kitty type shit, type stuff. And then metals, stuff you use to like make safes and locks and this type of stuff. They're not producing anything we can't make here. We can make this stuff here like nothing. Like nothing. With it overnight, we could produce this stuff. On top of that, there are a lot of other countries like Vietnam, who has just dropped all tariffs on American products. India, which has just dropped all tariffs on American products. We could even go into Africa and build the facilities to produce this stuff. So, should you be worried about this as an American? No. There's nothing. This ain't going to affect you long term at all. Also, we import 430 something billion dollars worth of their crap. They only import like $1 billion or I want to say like $100 billion worth of our stuff over there. It might be less than that. Who do you think is going to hurt more? The guy losing 400, $500 billion worth of exports, or the country losing $100 billion worth of exports? Obviously, the country losing $500 billion worth of exports. So tell me this. If you are in America you are not heavily dependent on those exports. You're not. Everyone in China is dependent on the exports going to America. When they lose our market, guess what's going to happen? They collapse economically. There's no country, there's no combinations of countries that can match that $500 billion worth of imports from China that the United States alone is bringing in. No, it's not backwards. It's not bigger. Bro, it does 1.4 billion. What the hell is that? Bro, China also has 1 billion people. You talking nonsense now. You talking nonsense now. Oh, 1.4 billion internal market in a country with 1 billion people is nothing. That's not even $1 per person. You just said anything. You're being a contrarian. But anyway, so the whole thing is you don't have to worry about. What I would encourage you to do is, because there will be some blowback from this, and I don't think it will be long term. I ultimately think China will back down. I think all this stuff is just posturing on their part. There will be some blowback from this. If you buy products that are made in China and you love them, go stock up right now. Go out and buy that juicer. Go out and buy that toaster. Go in there and buy that KitchenAid mixer. Go buy that Ninja blender, right? If you're trying to buy that refrigerator or that Whirlpool washer and dryer, buy it now, because there will be some blowback from this situation. You will see I believe we will see a temporary increase in the cost of these items. Just buy them now. Buy them now. Don't wait until the price go up, then run out. Oh my God, Trump made the price of everything. Because the next president, you don't know who it will be, and you don't know if it will be an agent of China, like how I feel Joe Biden was, or like I feel Kamala Harris is. So just go buy this stuff now. But as far as this trade war, China can't have a trade war with America. You saw what happened in his last term when they tried to battle Trump, and they was paying $20 for a gallon of milk, and they were struggling and people were starving. They need, and the funny thing is, Trump only wants them to participate fairly in the market. That's it. Don't put tariffs on us if we don't put tariffs on you. Give us equal access to your market as we give you, so our people can go sell products over there that are made and manufactured in the U.S. That's all Trump is asking. Fair trade. Y'all, Democrat. Oh, fair trade, fair trade. This would be truly fair trade. Fair trade. Trump has already destroyed BRICS. BRICS fell under Biden. Anyway, fair trade is not you get to put tariffs on us, but we can't put tariffs on you. There's nothing fair about that. I just want to let y'all know. A lot of our people are so used to losing and getting hoed. We think that's the way everything's supposed to be. It's not. All right, let's go. I'm going to go to Robert first. I'm going to go to Ed Jones second because you're a little bit more long-winded. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Brandon, you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right, thank you for having me up. Now, I think that there's a lot of positives that can happen with these new tariffs on paper, but I think it's also important to note the possible downfalls that can happen. You know, he's basically trying to bring manufacturing to the U.S., but with that, these new manufacturing companies still have to finance their expansion into the country. So they still need the banks to cooperate with them in times like these, which is kind of distressful and harder to get financing. And also, a lot of the products that we want to make here are actually like electronical products that like benefit the energy sector, because Trump and his administration doesn't like that we're so dependent on China for like really delicate things like batteries that charge, like, you know, the electric vehicles and everything like that. So some of these things that they're giving jobs to Americans for, we don't have enough electrical engineers to do it. So there could maybe be a bunch of Indians just creating these products in America on H-1B1 visas, and we don't actually see a net benefit from it. So those are just a few of my concerns about the tariffs that we have coming in.
Yeah, I for one, they shouldn't be giving any Indians H-1B visas to come in and do manual labor jobs. Those visas are for supposed to be for tech jobs, right? Um, it's jobs that we don't have a large pool of people to do. Anybody can do an assembly line job. We got millions of like your cousins when they need work and they go to the temp agency, where they send them to the factory, they send them to the warehouse, right? These are jobs that anybody can do. Same thing with putting together a toaster. You assemble parts like what my brother does at Tesla. That's what he does. He assembles parts. He's actually the guy who does the quality control inspection. He came from he used to be the guy who laminated the part, but now he got a promotion. But anyone could do these jobs. So if they are bringing Indians on visas to do those jobs, they're breaking the law, and it'll be exposed. Trust me. The thing I love about this situation is it puts the American people back in the driver's seat when it comes to jobs. We can snitch people out if they're not hiring American citizens, like we're doing now with the ICE deportations. When you are sending your job to overseas, you
But
lose all control over that job. Go ahead.
right,
What you say?
and I hope that that's true. But that that was the whole hoopla about the H-1B1 visas, is that they were giving them jobs that weren't actually highly technical and difficult.
Right.
They were it was like bullshit jobs that Americans could have done. So hopefully,
Right.
they're lawful about it.
Yeah, 100%. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of Americans who want to work. But what's the point of working when you work in 2, 3 jobs and you still can't pay your bills? So people fall off and say, I might as well go get on Section 8. I might as well just accept my fate of making under $20,000 a year, get this cheap $13, $14 a month rent and these food stamps, and try to do a bunch of side hustles under the table to make ends meet, strip and sell ass to make ends meet. That's where Americans are right now. Americans are working under the table jobs while simultaneously receiving government assistance. And it shouldn't be that way. Go ahead, Ann Jones. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm up early.
Listen, man, this is the important topic, man. Let me tell you something, man. Man, I put 50% of the blame on white America, and I put 50% of the blame on black America, man. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy, yo. I mean, this has been set in stone for the last 30, 40 years. Like I told you, man, I'm like 10 years older than you, man. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the days when everything was made in America, man. I
Mm-hmm.
woke up one day and everything was made someplace else, man. It's common sense, man. And I don't understand. See the problem with black people, man. Man, I'm so disappointed in Black America, man. The problem with Black America, man, they listen, they don't listen to the right people, man. Because Dr. Amos Wilson already was talking about the NAFTA agreement 20, 30 years ago, man. But
Yep.
he wasn't alive to see Trump renegotiate the NAFTA agreement into the the US MCA or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But the problem is, man, even Greg Foreman, you know what I'm saying, highlighted this on his shows where he will go back in the past and play the same things that the Democrats is proposing against that they was for 20, 30 years ago, man. They knew this shit was wrong, man. They knew this was wrong, man. The only thing I could say is, man, maybe they should have put a law where when these companies went overseas, they couldn't sell back to the US, but they knew it was wrong. But because they was getting their pockets lined,
Yep.
they didn't have a problem with it, man. But how is Black America for this shit, man? You know what I'm saying?
Black
Like I said,
Black America doesn't care because Black America mostly works service jobs.
No. But back in the days, because
No, I'm talking about right now. But yeah, back when you're talking about, we were in production jobs. We were working in the steel mills, the auto manufacture, auto plants. Look at the black cities: Atlanta, Detroit.
Bro. I don't know if you could pull up the lecture, but just Google on the Dr. Amos Wilson, and there's a lecture where I think he's in a black and white suit and sitting at a desk where he talks about the NAFTA agreement, you know what I'm saying, and how all the textile industries down south, you know what I'm saying, because they outsourcing to China, they're not going to have a job, you know what I'm saying. He talks about the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying. If you decide you want to sell to America, how you're not going to be able to sell to America because of the NAFTA agreement. This stuff was already proposed with this dude, man. You know what I'm saying? But the problem, like I was talking to a coworker last week, the problem is Black people fell for the mousetrap, man. And I seen it firsthand, man. Everybody was all good with the 99-cent stores. They was like, yo, yeah, the shit is cheap. And I'm looking at these people like, yo, what you mean the shit is cheap, man? It's no good.
It was trash as hell.
It's no good. So you're gonna tell me you're gonna buy a t-shirt for $1 instead of buying a t-shirt for $10, but within that same year that you can wash that t-shirt for $10, it's gonna last you for a whole year. But within that whole year buying that t-shirt for $1, you're gonna have to buy 20 t-shirts.
No, yeah, of course. We know the criticisms of the cheap products, and we decided that cheap price was better than the quality, because like I'm also young enough to remember when made in America, like that was a selling point.
Let me tell you something. That was classic, man. That was classic. Yeah. Made in USA, that was classic. You knew you was getting something quality, man. You actually look forward to getting something made in America at Christmas and your birthday and all that, man. It was just different, man. It had a different feeling, man.
Hey, listen, my grandma only bought made in America. Our cars, my grandma would never have dared to buy a Toyota. She bought Cadillac. That's all my grandma bought. Cadillac. What we getting? Cadillac. It was only two choices. Either we was getting a Chevy or we was getting a Cadillac.
But bro, look how it bit Black America in the ass at the end, man. Because who lost most of the jobs, man?
We did. And the funny thing is,
Detroit shut down. Indiana shut down. You know, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I mean, all the manufacturing plants, you know what I'm saying, across Black America that made Black America successful shut down, man. And they had no. That's the same thing I told my coworker, man. When they decided to ship to China, we didn't say nothing, man. So when they talking about the price is gonna raise, don't say nothing, man, because you ain't say nothing back then. So why you want to say nothing now, man? You know what I'm saying? Man. Yo, let Trump do what he do, man. Trump is revolutionary, man. And I'm not saying this because I ride in this jockstrap or whatever, man. But yo, he the only dude that says, yo, listen, man. And I know he doing it for white people, man. But yo, even middle America, white middle America gotta understand, man. Like, yo, listen, man. Yo, let me tell you something. As a black man, you know what I'm saying? It might consider me a tether, whatever, but I'm born and raised in America, man. I ain't trying to learn Mandarin and Chinese, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm good with English. If I want to learn another language, I'm gonna learn French and Spanish. I know the Spanish. I know less of French, man. But I ain't trying to learn Mandarin. I'm not trying to go out like no sucker, man. I'm not trying to be no servant or no Chinese, man. Let me stay. Let me stay how it is until I can come up and do better, man. And if Black America was smart, they would understand. Like, yo, listen, all right, yo, listen, man, all right, we got it to how we wanted to do. So now we can put a little political pressure on America and start filling up Africa, man. But they didn't want to do that shit, man. They didn't want to put a little political pressure on America to build up Africa. They decided to put a little political pressure on America to build up fucking China, man. Yo, Black Americans are sick, man.
No, listen,
Sick to the core, boy.
I hear Black people talking about China's better than America, but the bigger thing is this: stop getting left behind. Stop getting, eliminated from the fight. You should be planning your next move based on what Trump is doing, because it's going to be all out fallout. It's going to be fallout from this situation where countries are going to be moving in, trying to take over the manufacturing of products that China manufactures that they export to the United States. Vietnam and India are already calling President Trump, hey, you make this in China, we can make that for you. Vietnam, they removed all tariffs on U.S. products and for an exchange of a 0% tariff on their products. Why? Because they are trying to lure U.S. manufacturing over to Vietnam. Why aren't you building your factory in Africa? Why aren't you building your production facility in Africa right now? Because when China plays the tough guy too much and Trump says, F it, 1,000% tariff on everything, so can't nothing come out of there, why don't you put yourself in position to take that job, take that manufacturing contract from China? And somebody said, my girl Candace, shout out to Candace, I haven't seen my girl in a long time. Candace said it said this right here. She said this: China's 84% tariffs will definitely affect small businesses who sell on Amazon, not to mention the cost of shipping. But listen to what I'm telling you. Most of those Amazon factories have moved to America 5 or 6 years ago. Let me ask you a question. And do you ever order anything off Amazon?
Man, I don't even have an Amazon account, yo.
Okay, so I order stuff off Amazon. Bro, if I order this thing right here, this is a cell phone clip. It holds your cell phone, it screws to the top of the mount, all this. Or like I got an audio interface that I ordered off of Amazon.
You bugging, yeah. You bugging.
Shut up, Ant. Look, shut up. Hey, listen, man. Amazon is great. It's an American company too. But look, so I ordered this off of Amazon, right? This shit came to my house in 3 hours. They delivered this in 3 hours. Do you think that they delivered this from China? The only ones that still deliver from China is Temu. That's why everything on Temu is dirt cheap, because you got to wait a month to get it. You can get anything on Amazon within a couple of hours or at the longest a day. Do you really believe that those products are still in China? No, they're in America now. And some of them are even being produced in America. And if they're not being produced in America, they're being mass produced and they've been shipped here to where they got years and years of inventory. I don't think that that's going to have any impact on Amazon. And also, remember, the tariffs are only on certain products. It ain't on no little trinkets like this. They putting tariffs on stuff like solar panels, car parts, stuff where it's a gang of money being made. They just put an $800 additional tax on something else. I gotta read it. I forgot. I read it, but I forgot. But go ahead, Ant.
Bro, let me tell you something, man. I want to make 2 points, man. Number one, I done scaled. See, like I told you, listen, I'm about to be 50 in November, man. We 10 years apart. I done scaled down, yeah. I done scaled down. A lot of things that I used to buy when I was your age and younger, I don't need no more, man. I'm the type of dude, you know what I'm saying, because where I work at, I wear a uniform. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm not buying like, because when I was 18,
Will be any
19, you know what
more
I'm saying,
action.
Sorry, go
when I
ahead.
was
My bad.
when I was 18, 19, 20, yeah, I needed a fresh outfit to go outside every day. I'm not on that shit no more, so I done scaled down, man. And like I said, I understand what it is. See, let me tell you something, man. I'm the type of person, I know I'm not like everybody else, but I don't like cheap stuff, man.
Right.
I
Me
don't
too.
like cheap stuff. I like classical stuff. I like quality stuff. I like stuff that's made, you know what I'm saying, with quality, you know what I'm saying? I'm quality over quantity, man. Cause that's who I am, and I'd rather have a something that's made properly than something that you just made to just break and just destroy and replace, man. That's who I am, man. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, man, like, listen, this has to be done, man, because either you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, man. Because if, listen, America can't continue. I mean, how can a country continue with a 36, 34, $34 million, $34 trillion debt? It's not
Can't.
sustainable, man. Either we all gonna be speaking Chinese, man. It's not sustainable, man. And the white folks understand that, but they've been passing the buck for a long time. And but at least this white man, this good old white man, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't a good old white man before him, but this good old white man understand for white folks, man. Yo, we can't sustain if we wanna hold on to this continent that we done conquered. And this is the thing I don't want, this is the thing that black folks is naive about, man. They don't understand power. Black people don't understand power, man. Yo, I think black people still believe in equality, man. They still believe in fairness and shit like that, man. Yo, listen, man, somebody gonna be on top, man. The Chinese understand that, man. They like, yo, we trying to be on top, man. And you think the Chinese being on top is gonna consider y'all Negroes, man? They not gonna consider y'all Negroes, man. They're gonna suppress y'all worse than the white man done suppress y'all, because like Dr. Amos Susan said, they don't have a doctrine to live by, man. They don't have a constitution to live by. The
Right.
Asians gonna suppress y'all worse than the white man, man. But because y'all Negroes don't understand supremacy of power, y'all think, oh yeah, everything gonna be equal. Y'all listen to the Jazmine Crockett's and the Stephen A. Smiths and the damn Kamala Harris is like, yo, everything gotta be equal. Ain't nothing equal in this world, man.
Nope.
Nothing equal in this world, man. Somebody got to rule and somebody got to be ruled, man. When Jesus Christ come back, or Allah come back, or Muhammad come back and take over this world and set this shit straight, then we can talk about equality, man. But until then, like Dr. Amos was said, man, you got to get into the mud and you got to fight for the supremacy, man. You have to
100%.
fight for this, man. But because Negroes are scared, man, just like the dude that stabbed the white boy, man. You ain't had to stab the white boy. You ain't had to stab him, the white boy. Yo, put your
Man.
hands up, family. Put your hands up, man up.
Hey,
Put your hands up, man.
and we might as well transition to that because that's one of the things that I put in the title of this show.
Man, yo,
So let me start. We're gonna just segue right here. First and foremost, Carmelo Anthony stabs Austin Metcalf. Bro dies. Black community comes out in support of the killer. Lots of misinformation, blatant lies being told about the nature of their relationship, demonizing this the white kid, and celebrating the black kid. Do you think Carmelo Anthony was in the wrong for stabbing that boy in his chest? At
you
this
asking me?
I'm asking you.
Do I think? Say that again. Ask that again.
Do you think Carmelo Anthony was in the wrong for stabbing Austin Metcalf?
Well, he committed murder, so yeah, he in the wrong, man. I ain't got a problem with that. Let me tell you something, man. I'm sorry he did it. I ain't got a problem he did it, man. You know what I'm saying? If he did it because he was oppressed by white supremacy, that's on you, bro.
We're opening,
I ain't,
guys.
I ain't,
Guys,
I ain't,
hold on.
I ain't got no commissary for him.
Hold on real quick. We're opening up the conversation for discussion. I put the excuse me. I put the link in the comments. We're getting into this. Was Karmelo Anthony wrong for stabbing Austin Metcalf?
Let me tell you something. According to what it was, because the shit just sounds weird, man. I mean, he's supposed to, if it's a track meet or whatever, why are you sitting under the other people's bleachers, yo? That I don't understand. Then, okay, yeah, I understand people carry guns and knives to school or whatever, but why are you sitting on the people's bleachers with a knife in your backpack? I mean, by yourself, man. Why you ain't got a couple of homies around you, man? So was this dude like, was he weirded out or whatever, man? Was he a weird dude that he was isolated from his school? So I mean, because the way the black people making it seem like the dude, the white boy was bullying him all throughout the school year. So he decided to say, okay, all right, now it's a track meet time. So now I'm gonna go and target the white boy. But why would you do that?
Here's the problem. They didn't even go to the same damn school.
Exactly. But I'm saying though, even if he was bullying him at his school every time they interacted together, why would you go? Yo, bro, they both, in my opinion, they both fucked up. In my opinion, they both fucked up. But
this is a cut and
but
dry case.
the reason why I say the reason why I say they both fucked up, but of course the black dude, he fucked up more because he was in the wrong place. He shouldn't have been under the tent.
Bro, who goes
exactly,
under the tent
exactly.
of a dude bullying them that they scared of? Don't nobody do
Exactly.
that, bro.
But if I was the white boy, and somebody told me, yo, touch me again, and you see what happens, and I see them reaching in their backpack, you know, we from the hood, man. Like, all right, yo,
We from the hood.
homie got a weapon or something, so we all gotta surround them or whatever. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about as far as life aspect. So I'm saying, yo, the white boy should have been like, yo, damn, all right, yo, he got something in his backpack. Let me back off or whatever, or let me tell my brother to circle around, or let me tell the other white boys to circle around or whatever. So he should have guarded his life better than that. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion, because we from the hood, man. If somebody say, yo, touch me, and you see what happened again, and then you go push them, and if they jump on you, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if somebody kill you, when you go see God, you can't blame nobody for killing you except yourself, because you should have been more protected. That's what I'm trying to say, man. I didn't say he was wrong and he shouldn't did what he did, but you do what you do. It's life, man. But as far as with the black dude, you know what I'm saying? He knew he wasn't supposed to be doing that, man. And I don't understand, why would you go under the dude's tent? Why would you go into somebody's tent and provoke them into violence, man? So that makes me understand. That makes me kind of wonder, like,
we understand exactly what the hell happened here. We all been in high school. We all been teenage black boys. We know what was going on. We got to try to do mental gymnastics.
Okay, so what you think happened?
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually just gonna end this live and do another one, because I'm gonna end this and I'm gonna come right back with another one right now at 10:35. So guys, listen, we're gonna end this. We're gonna leave this one about the trade war, and we're gonna do the other. We're gonna go into, was Karmelo Anthony wrong for stabbing Austin Metcalf. So we're ending this stream and we're starting another one immediately. So I'll see y'all on the next stream.